Good evening, you folks out there in YouTube land. Thrash Pondo here, and welcome to another one of my infamous or outfamous live chats. And as always, buddy Lance is the first one here. Lance, so good to see you again today. Welcome to the party. Thanks for joining us. So far it's just you and I, so smash that like button. I should have a like. Well, share and share alike, as the saying goes. Let's just see. Going to be a general Q&A today. No specific topics of any kind. Trivia is going to be just some random trivia questions I found in a new trivia themed magazine, by the way. I decided to go for some more mainstream trivia questions. Some people think my trivia is a little too difficult, so I'm going to mainstream it for a while. Although people seem to like to watch in reclusion, I guess you'd say. Tug is here, says, hello, Bob. Hello, Lance. Tug, funny to see you again today. Can you, people, if you didn't see the show Tug and I did with Damien, Harold the Hatter, and Sister Sarah, it was amazing. We're doing part 3 of our creature features, and we barely made it around once. Our tangents were having tangents, as the saying goes. Possibly one of the most fun live chats I've ever done. But again, we got very little accomplished, but those are the most fun. And free only goes so far. If I get one more of these supposed offers, Gary Carpenter says, hi there, everyone. I'm back. And Doug said, nah, it's too easy. And Danny says, greetings from South Carolina. Greetings to you too, Danny. Great to see you again today. And Tug says, it was a laugh riot today. Thanks again, Bub. I do what I can with what I got. Rachel is here, says, I'm here. Rachel, so great to see you again. Welcome to the party. And Indy's here, says, I think your trivia that doesn't include Dawson's Creek is pretty fine. Well, we can't be experts on everything now, can we? So now we know what your Achilles heel is. And tonight's going to be Dawson's Creek. Gary Carpenter says, greetings, neighbor. Lance says, hey to Rachel. Mr. Classic Video Gamer, his other favorite video, says hi. I'm just going to call you Mr. for abbreviation purposes. And hi to you too, Mr. So glad you could make it to the party this evening. Crapshoot Creations is here. He says, big high five to the live. I made it. Big high five to you there, big guy. Good to see you. Danny, thank you for the link. Please give Crapshoot Creations a link as well, and a link to your own stuff as additional. Zublex is here. He says, hello to all. Mr. Wilkinson is here. He says, good evening, Bob. Mr. says, it's up. It's me, David. Okay, Dave. Welcome to the party, whichever incarnation you can make. Oh, music and fun, etc. is here. Says, good evening, everyone. Danny, please drop a link. Also, music and fun. I didn't see the email I'm supposed to send the joke to. I looked in the screen. I was probably looking right at it, but let me know where to find the email, or send an email to me. You can get on my content channel, and then I'll have yours as well. Keith is here, says, hello, planning on lurking. We lurk late, and we strike straight. And Indy, what classic Gwendolyn Brooks poem is that from? Sean Innes is here. He says, hey, all. A lot of people having fellowship and saying hello to one another. Lobo Gris is here. Oh my God, Lobo. It is so great having you. I know you do your Sunday afternoon live chats, which usually run into this period. I'm glad you were able to cut it short enough. Or are you doing both? Are you multitasking? Mrs. Thrash had the day off, so after I was done with Tug, I couldn't make it to yours this afternoon. I'm sorry. But Lobo, so great to see you. And again, we've got to do a collab at some point in the near future. Watchamin is here, says hello, everyone. Danny, please, links to both Lobo Gris and Wajamin. Although I know all of you guys already have their channels down. Oh, and music says, I will do that, Thrash. Thank you. I'm trying to whittle down with more than, I'm gonna probably send you a few jokes, and you pick the one is that would be best for your channel, or take a couple of them if you see fit, and go with the pudgy redhead for my avatar. Unless you can get Avatar from Wizards. That oh my god, that fat samurai guy. This is an honor and a half. Oh my god, Mr. Downey, I haven't talked to you in a dog's life. What's up, brother? Just popped in for a second to say hi. I'm so glad you did. And please, please, I know how busy you are, and I know how booked you are with collaborations. But if you ever need me for one of your shows, please, please, please let me know. They are so much fun. They are so much fun. And please say hello to Lady Fat Blood for me, by the way. Oh my God, I'm so glad you could stop in. Thank you. Tug says, hit the like or you'll get a big pimple between your toes. Ooh, ow, that sounds awful. Gary said, music, let's hear some tunes. Mr. Summer, guy saying hello to Lance. I call that fellowship when you folks speak amongst themselves, like pretty much everyone is doing here. Dominic D is here. He says, "Hey Bob, hey everyone, hello to you too." And he says, "Not much of a poetry guy, but it's probably that one with the pool players." Yes, we lurk late, we strike straight. Very, very good. Oh, I'm such a smartass. Seven at the Golden Q. I can't quite pin down the right name, but yes, we'll give it to you, particularly because I can't quite remember it. Seven at the Golden Q or something like that. But it was one of my favorite poems when I was in college. Music says you can send as many jokes as you want, Thresh. I can make more than one video. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, Doug says, I know a bunch of poems about men from Nantucket. There's actually only the one. There's just different variations. And let me tell you something. They were a little over exemplified. Fat Samurai Guy says, let's review some horror films on October. Month. I am in like Flynn. One of the funniest clubs I think I ever did was the one Black Sunday versus the Black Cat, or whatever the other one was. I know but I count me in. I love doing horror movies. That is my fort. Gary says I had some fun today. Excellent. I did too. I was, of course, on Doug's channel earlier. BK on the air. Oh my god. Oh my god. All my heroes here today. BK on the air says, "Hey Thresh," with a Storm Radio iconography. Mr. Danny, please give Barry, our friend here, link. Again, I'm certain you all are already friends and subscribers to Barry, but oh, Lance says I spent my oof. I hate spending my oof. I need all the oof I can get. Remember, be alert with all the alerts we can get. Sean says, not normally a dad joke kind of guy, but I heard two recently that got me. Ooh, please submit, Sean. Please submit. And Lance says, I spent my life savings on pasta. It was worth every penny. Oh, penny for your thoughts. I love it. I love it. Very, very good. Zublik says, I thought you promised tonight's trivia would be on failed TV series based on motion pictures. Thank Dave. Dave, I'm going to write that down because I love that premise. I absolutely love that premise. And I completely forgot what the premise was because I didn't write it down. I'm going to write that down right now. Trivia failed pilots based on films. Zoomplex, please forgive me. I completely forgot what that was. And so no, it's not going to be what it is tonight. I did not deceive you. I just dropped the ball. I will have it for you next week or dive in the attempt. Tug said October is the most magical time of the year for YouTubers. It's the most wonderful time of the. When I worked at Staples, people used to sing that constantly. Constantly. I remember. Well, most of you guys will have to remember about 30 years ago they had that Staples commercial where back to school was the most wonderful time of the year, and the kids are like trudging like they're going to a death camp, and the father is like being whimsical, using the staplers as castanets. Every back to school time when I worked at Staples, fathers would just go down the aisles and relive that commercial. I prefer the commercial for Suncoast where the guy goes into the movie store and it's supposed to be like uh, music, not Musicland, FYE or something like that, and has no idea because the customer's like, "Do you have the movie where the guy goes and then the girl goes and then the guy goes and the girl goes?" And then he goes into a Suncoast, and the female employee goes, "Oh yeah, it's right over here," because people used to do that to us. They would like ask us movies with like literally the flimsiest of descriptions, and we could get it because we were smart. It was in here. Oh, Gary went to Comic Con today. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. I am chartreuse with envy. And he says, looked it up. Apparently, its title is "We Real Cool." Well, that's the only line. We real cool. We left school. We thin gen. We oh for now I'm gonna do we real cool. We left school. We lurk late. We strike straight. We sing sin. We thin gen. We jazz June. We die soon. And Miss Brooks, please forgive me. That's because I'm doing such short notice. Oh, Terrell Eugene Bellinger is here. Tab, so great to see you. He says, Happy Sunday. Fun Day Thrash today marks 10 years since the world lost Robin Williams. I posted my tribute to him over on Facebook and Twitter. Yes, it was a devastating, devastating day. We had 4 generations in my house that loved Robin Williams, and we were all devastated. From my mama to my number one granddaughter. Darrell's here says, Bob, other brother Daryl, good to see you again today. And oh, I think I just jumped, so I'm gonna have to go back a little bit. No, I'm ready. Oh, yeah, here it is. So I'm gonna skim through people saying hello to one another. Dave says, "Hey, Mr. Carter." Tug says he literally lost the plot. Robin Williams. Rachel says, "I love your backdrop. Thank you. This was a gift from Mrs. Thrash. Thank you again, Mrs. Thrash." She's waving. Yeah, like I said, we got this. She found this for me, and I just fell in love with it. It's perfect for my persona. Gary Kemper says today is the anniversary of the Lizzie Borden murders. Lizzie Borden took an axe, and things kind of went downhill from there. Although arraigned but acquitted. I need that read to the record. Everybody forgets that she actually was not convicted of the crime. Did she do it? Well, I'll tell you what, she didn't write a book that said if I did it. But more about him later. WD says, I can think of a few right off the top of my head TV series based on movies that flopped. Oh, please keep those in standby for right now. I don't want to give the game away for next week's trivia. But yeah, there were some good ones. There were some good ones, and I promise I'll have it for you. Again, please forgive me. Zuberlik says, you are welcomed. I hope that means you are welcomed to be forgiven. Um, and Tug says Robin Williams' death hit me harder than any other celebrity, certainly up there. And Tim says, Thrash, would you please consider doing a Robin Williams themed trivia in honor of the 10th anniversary of his untimely passing? Yes, I will do that. At least some kind of spotlight. I will do that for you. I don't know if I'll do 2 trivias next week, but here, I'm writing that down. Robin. And yes, I always talk when I write. Williams. It's really, really irritating when I'm taking orders at the restaurant. Theme. I'm just going to say theme. I can figure out what we're going from there. And it says message retracted. And a message retracted to you too. And and Len says, where's Tracy, Emily, and Cindy? Not here just yet, but shout outs to all of them. Ladies, we miss you. Lisa Fields as well, and any other Caroline Maloney, and any others that we are forgetting. And Rachel says, our tip of my tongue, every question so vague, LOL. Well, I can be vague. That's for darn sure. Zublik says, greatest stand-up comedian ever, in my humble opinion. Oh, Emily's here. Says Lance, I'm lurking and watching Prison Break. Which season? I think my favorite was the one when he was in Panama. Um, uh, I just jumped a little bit here, so I'm going to scroll back because oh yeah, here it is. There we go. Everyone's saying hello to Emily as well. They should. Uh, Tug says, "Hey Emily, the show. Are you finally getting out?" And oh, sure, you finally get it. I see what you're saying. And Emily says, "Tug, those weekend passes aren't the same." A lot of people saying hi to Mrs. Thrash. Thank you. Tug says, the more I learn about Lizzie Borden, the less I seem to know about what actually happened. It's a convoluted mess of a story. Well, yeah, because the police didn't secure the scene. So, but you know what? Supposedly, years later, when she moved to California and was trying to, of all things, make it in silent cinema, supposedly she confessed to a friend of hers that she did in fact do it. And but that's all speculation and hearsay. Emily says hello and good evening, everyone. And he says, I used to manage a Hollywood video 30 years ago. Within a year, other stores would be calling me multiple times a day with those kind of obscure movie questions. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it happens all the time. People I think people do it for fun, to be honest with you. And somebody says, didn't you say Mrs. wasn't here? No, I didn't say Mrs. wasn't here, but she's here, or she was here at the time. She's sort of lurking out in the shadows, but yes. Rachel says, didn't you hear Judge Joe Brown says OJ is innocent? Mhm. And I'm a hand model. I just jumped. Let's just see. I'll try to catch up. I'm getting close. LOL, Thrash. Thank you. Tug says, "Oh yeah, I already read that one. I read that one too." Oh, Harold is here. He says, "Hey all, wife and I are puppy proof in the backyard, putting chicken wire along the fence, lurking till dawn. Lurk away, lurk away." Gary says, "Geek, her house is a B and B, and it's haunted." And if I told you how much it was a night, and you usually have to book about 3 years in advance, Mrs. Thrash and I thought about doing it because it's in Fall River. It's actually not far from where we live, but it is bonkers. And Halloween, forget it. Forget it. You might as well try to get into Salem. Tug says puppy dad has arrived. Rachel says, but Judge Joe Brown said Ike Turner was innocent too. Well, Judge Joe Brown is off to a flying start. Uh, Ed Tug says it's interesting. Gary, I'll have to check it out. And Emily says, season two, Panama it is. Sister Sarah's here, my flock. She says, hi, everyone. Hello to you too. Give yourself a link. And she says, hey, pawns. And I think I skipped someone, so I'm just going to go back. Oh, yeah, here. A lot of people having fellowship. Tracy's here. Says, hiya, folks. Tracy, I hope you're feeling better, my dear. So glad you could make it. Teddy says, I'm listening. I just don't feel great today. I feel like blech as well. I have no idea why. Change of season, um, low level alcoholism, just being a big fat slug, perhaps. But either way, I know how you feel. Thank you. And he says, but why male models? That's a reference to something. I know it's a reference to something. And Tug says to Tracy, sorry about the timing this afternoon. That's right. She showed up at the very, 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 very end of what we were doing today, but it was very nice seeing you even for the moment. One thing I remember is supposedly when Tim Curry got the part of in Rocky Horror, he was friends with Richard O'Brien, and he bumped into him, and he goes, "I'm looking for bodybuilders who can sing." And Tim Curry said, "Why do you need them to sing?" um, and Wajimeen says, "BRB, gotta get some food." Oh, that sounds fun. And Tracy says, I know Eric. I love you guys. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. That's so sweet. Gary Carver says, I'd rather go to Salem. Yeah, but on Halloween, forget it. Forget it. You can't even get near Salem on Halloween. We've talked about doing it, but just too uber cray cray. Tracy tells them she's okay. Daryl says sickly people, LOL. Those are the best kind. And Sean says, Sean says, hey to Daryl. And he says, I'd rather go to Waverly Hills or Eastern State Penitentiary if I believed in ghosts. I'll buy that. I'll buy that. Actually, North Adams is one of the most haunted places in the state, and I went to college there. I used to live in a couple places that actually were haunted. But that's another story. And Owen Tug says, love you too, Tracy. And Gary says, I refuse to see that Rocky Horror movie. It's too weird to look at. It's a very weird movie. I must confess, it's a very weird movie. But it was not an inspiration for Night of the Living Dead. Lynn says, or go on the Queen Mary. Oh, that's another good one. And a lot of people are speaking in emoji. Tracy loves Emily. Emily loves Tracy. Oh, that's sweet. And Gary says to Lance, I'd love to see the Queen Mary. Are you Mary? Queen of Scots? I am. The old Monty Python sketch, The Death of Mary, Queen of Scots. I think she's dead. No, I'm not. And so on and so forth. Oh, great. I'm buffering. Oh, for crying out loud. I'm sorry, Sean. Anyone else notice buffering besides Shawnee? Way down upon the Shawnee River, far, far away. Rachel says, let's do the time warp again. It's just a jump to the left, and then a step to the right. Emily says, I don't care where the ghosts are. That's where I want to be. Well, that sounded ominous. Tug says, did he just freeze at the great moment, or was that just me? A little from column A and a little from column B. Lynn says, or the Winchester House in San Francisco. Mrs. Thrash has wanted to see that for years. My dad saw it, and I must confess, I wanted to see it since I saw it on. That's Incredible, back in like '81. But yeah, my dad went there. I guess it's amazing. Dominic D says, bravissimo. Grazie. Grazie, paisan. And Gary says, Sean, I'm getting it too. Oh dear. Rachel's also getting buffering. Emily's like buffered a bit there. I think there's an electrical storm somewhere in the Northeast. We'll keep an eye out for it. Might be an early night tonight, guys, but we'll do what we can. We will start the trivia promptly today, I promise. And Zuber, please play along, even though it's not what you wanted. Oh, Tracy says no freeze here. And Tug says, Emily, you were missed on the stream today when we were talking about Stephen King. Yeah, she was missing for all. Sean says, put your hands on your hips and put your knees in tight. But it's the pelvic thrust. Brogu is here. Good evening, Brogu, my friend. Glad you could make it. Emily says, you couldn't send me a message, Tug? Well, he could have. Gary says, New York City has plenty of haunted buildings. Oh, I imagine they would. Lynn says, Tug, Misery is my favorite from King. It's a very good movie. Lisa Fields, speak of the devil. Lisa Fields, we were just talking about me, my dear. Hi there, Thrash and everyone. Hi to you as well. So glad you could make it. We're going to start the trivia in just a little bit. Everyone's saying hi to Lisa. I'm not Lisa. Lisa, Stephen King. Oh no, I missed it. I love him. And the hobbling scene is Jackie Lynch, yes. And Terrell says, which notable sitcom recast do you prefer better? Dick Sargent, Darren from Bewitched, Daphne Maxwell Reed from The Fresh Prince, or Sarah Chalk, Becky from Roseanne? I would go with Dick Sargent. In some ways, I think he was better than Dick York. Sean says, to me specifically, you've made technical difficulties a pleasant / funny stylish thing, LOL. Keep us on our toes. Thank you. Owen, still buffering. Rachel, I apologize. Emily says, nobody knows this but me and Lisa are twins. Uh, I'll take your word for it. The scene, which I can't do, the scene from The Jerk just jumped into my head. But I dare not try that to this day and age. And he says, no, New York City has a bunch of buildings that people claim are haunted. Valid. And Tug says, not even your mother can tell you apart. And Rachel says, Sarah Chalk. And Emily Miller says, Roseanne had so much fun at the expense of Becky. And Lisa says, hi, Dominic Zublik. Oh, hello to everyone. Yes. And Emily Miller says, we have the same birthday and love Stephen King. That hardly makes you indiscernible. Oh, by the way, who here has a birthday with a famous person? I have a few famous people that I share a birthday with. But if anyone has we were talking about that today. If anyone shares their birthday with a famous person, please let us know in the comments. Concurrent. And Lisa says we were born on the same day. And Trace's The Jerk was funny. The Jerk is one of the funniest movies ever made. I absolutely love that movie. I'm picking out a thermos for you. Not just any thermos for you. Also, the scene, I'm not going to bother to go through it because it takes forever. But the scene where he's doing that infamous scene where he's like telling the dog to go find a good home where someone will take better care of him. And the dog tries to bolt, and Stephen King's like, no, 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 I'm not done convincing you. And then finally he just grabs the dog. He's like, I changed my mind. I changed my mind. You can come with me. And he's dragging the dog. It was hysterical. Sean Innes says to Tracy, how did COVID go? Hope you shake it off. Definitely. And Rachel says the jerk was hilarious. It certainly was. And Gary Cabernet says, Indy, yes, they are really haunted. I'm sure some of them have to be by process of elimination. Tracy says, I still have a bit of respiratory issues. Oh, I'm sorry. Rachel was my birthday was August 6th. Belated happy birthday to you, my dear. And Sean says, Einstein, Billy Crystal, share a birthday with me. Oh, that's very, very, very cool. And Gary Carpenter says the shirt waste fire building is still standing and being fixed up. Oh, excellent. Daryl Johnson was born on Elvis's birthday. Wow, that's crazy cool. And Teresa says, but I'm okay. Good, good, good. Dominic D. Elton John and Aretha Franklin, March 25th. Those are two very solid people. Excellent. That's very cool. And Brogu says, the jerk was very funny. I liked it when he said, stay away from the cans. He hates the cans. I'm trying to place that scene. And Zuli says, happy early birthday greetings, Rachel. Early, the 6th was last week. And Wonderbean says, I share a birthday with Alyssa Milano. Same day, month, and year. Oh, very good, very good. And Gary says, Nancy Kovac shared my birthday. And Donkey, any chance you sing? And Rachel says, Autumn Jr. has the same birthday as me. And let's just see. Sean says, that's right. You said it. I sent me on a search through her career on IMDb and other sites. And Watching hopes Tracy gets better. Eugene Teb says, which notable Cousin Oliver-esque character do you prefer better? Andy Keaton, Family Ties, Chrissy Seaver, Growing Pains, Olivia Kendall, The Cosby Show, or Joe Pritchett, Modern Family. Didn't care for any of those. I must confess, didn't care for any of those. And Texas, I share a birthday with Sam Rockwell and the incredible Famk Jason. Excellent. And Tracy saying thank you. And Daryl says David Boyd too. Excellent. And Indy Spout says then it should be a simple task to find concrete proof any of them get going and have fun. Uh, Rachel says Lucille Ball was born on August 6th, too. Oh, Lynn says Jennifer Connelly born on the same day. Excellent. And Denny says I was born on November 13th, the same as Whoopi Goldberg. Edwin Booth, brother of Lincoln Killer John Wilkes Booth, and of course Jason Voorhees. Of course, of course. That was yeah, all right. Also Vivian Lee Tug, and I'm crashing. And Sean says Emmett Walsh was shooting at Steve Martin. Die gas pumper. He hates those. Oh, that's right. That's right. Excellent. And Brogan says in The Jerk, it was a scene where the guy's shooting at him and he was hitting the oil cans, and the jerk says, "Stay away from the cans." He hates the cans. Now I haven't seen the movie in years, but I do remember the scene now. Lobo Gris shares the birthday with Walt Disney. Excellent. And Wajimeen has to go check his food. More than understand. Gary Gabbard says John Wayne died on my grandmother's birthday. Wowzers. And Tracy says Australian actress Kate Atkinson and I share the same days. Oh, excellent, excellent. And Rachel says Olivia on Cosby is my fave cousin Oliver. And Tibbs, I share the birthday with Ariana Grande. Excellent, excellent. And Emily says Kevin Costner is the only one I can think of that shares my birthday. Well, that's a pretty big deal. Len says it's called Dances with Emily. And he says, I'll be right back with your free oven mitt, Mr. Nussbaum. You want a free oven mitt? We used to say, when I was a kid, we used to say pot holder, and then say the joke being you can't hold much pot in that. It wasn't in the movie, but we thought it was funnier. And Emily says, Lance, it's about the only movie of his I know. And Lisa says, Emily, I didn't know that. And Tug says, where's Harold? Somebody mentioned Costner, so I expected him to appear. Good question, but you know what? It's almost 8. Should I start the trivia now? You're about to start the trivia now. Are you guys sure you want to start the trivia now? Yes, yes, please start the trivia now. Well, if you insist. Okay, and remember, it's just miscellaneous Michigots today. Next week is going to be on failed TV shows based on really good movies, I promise. But for right now, I'm going to do miscellaneous Michigots. And as always, in no particular order. And he says, yes, Bob, start the trivia now. Emily says, Lisa, I got bored one day and looked it up. Gary says, go ahead, T. And Lynn says, JFK, Bull Durham. He's mentioning movies of Kevin Costner. And Thrash says, that's Thrash's trivia hostage voice. Trivia hostage. I love it. I love it. Thrash's trivia hostage. And Daryl says, that means more 80s stuff. 80s some, but it's I was picking from random decades just to kind of mix it up a bit. By the way, as always, in no particular order, number 10. This film was the. Oh, I have them backwards here. Let's try this again. I'm reading out of order. Number 9. John Wilson's Razzie Awards. Was I drunk when I wrote these? Maybe. All right, I'll come again. John Wilson's Razzie Award was inspired by one of these 1981 films. Was it A, Xanadu, B, Blood Beach, C, Going Ape, or D, Under the Rainbow? Again, supposedly John Wilson was inspired to come up with the Golden Razzies by 2 films that came out in 1981, and this was one of them. So I shall repeat. John Wilson's Razzie Awards were inspired by one of these films. A, Xanadu, B, Blood Beach, C, Going Ape, or D, Under the Rainbow. Oh, and by the way, Tug, remember we were talking about Tremors? Before there was Tremors, there was Blood Beach. It's a remarkably similar premise. And while you guys are good, Rachel says, Under the Rainbow is a good movie. It was, but it bombed at the box office. It was dead at the box office. I liked it too. I did. It had some flaws, but it was an overall good movie. But yes, it was a Xanadu, or as I call it, Xanadone. Moving forward, and this is why I got them backwards. This film was the other horrid flick which inspired the Razzies. Was it A, Can't Stop the Music, B, Zombie 2, C, Hell Night, or D, Pennies from Heaven? And I shall repeat. Oh, what's Tug lying about now? Oh, thanks for giving the game away, Indy. Oh, we are smart. I shall repeat. This film was the other horrid film which inspired the Razzie Awards. A, Can't Stop the Music. B, Zombie 2. C, Hell Night. Or D, Pennies from Heaven. And let's see how many people are paying attention to Indy. Oh, no, Indy, I'm busting your chops. I'm guessing a lot of people would have guessed it correctly too. But, and they are. But Emily's like, yeah, somebody already mentioned it. But yes, it was Can't Stop the Music, which I believe was directed by Nancy Walker herself. Number 8. In 1966, come back, Rebecca. Come back to Jamaica. What's old is what's next. In 1966, tobacco companies actually patented a filter made from cough. A, asbestos. B, styrofoam. C, fiberglass. Or D, cheese. I shall repeat. In 1966, tobacco companies actually patented a filter made from A, asbestos, B, styrofoam, C, fiberglass, or D, cheese. All these answers are great, aren't they? People love fiberglass. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I actually would have, to be honest, I actually didn't know this, and I would have gone with asbestos. But then I'm the one who came up with the other choices, so I actually knew what it was in the beginning. Oh yeah, wasn't there a rumor that there was actually fiberglass in menthol cigarettes? Uh, oh my god, it's Tug for the win. And let's see, Gary Carpenter as well. Yes, and anyone else I may have missed. Yes, cheese. They made a filter made of cheese. I'm guessing it was Baby Swiss or Sweet Lorraine, Lorraine. Gladdy the Cross-Eyed Bear. Moving forward, number 7. Which of these Neil Diamond songs was not a number 1 single? A, Cracklin' Rose. B, Song Song Blue. C, I Am, I Said. Or D, You Don't Bring Me Flowers. I shall repeat. Which of these Neil Diamond songs was not a number 1 hit single? A, Cracklin' Rose. B, Song Song Blue. C, I Am, I Said. Or D, You Don't Bring Me Flowers. WD says, I think one of the companies claimed to have a charcoal filter. Oh, yeah. Yes. I remember those. Texas gotta find a use for American cheese. And we're like, what? They're like, what? Wednesdaydale. Yes, indeed. That's my name, Mr. Wednesdaydale. What about cheddar? Well, there's not much call for it. Not much call for cheddar. It's the single most popular cheese in the world. Sean says cheese, but asbestos did everything. I would have guessed asbestos too, but yeah, but no. Mr. Wednesday Day. I love that cheese shop. Shut that bloody bazooka! And oh my god, you guys are all over this one. Rachel says all of those are hits to me. They're all great tunes, but yes, the one that never was a number 1 hit was I Am, I Said. So I was gonna say something mean in case Mama Thrash was listening, like none of them he sucked because she used to have a crush on Neil Diamond. But no, no. The funny thing is, Sweet Caroline was even on that list, so I'm not even sure if Sweet Caroline was one of his number ones. But it should have been number six, and then we'll get scores. Number six, Whitney Houston's particularly whiny power ballad, "Greatest Love of All." Be nice, Mrs. Thresh, was actually written for a 1977 biopic for this black celebrity. Was it A, the Reverend King, B, Muhammad Ali, C, Bill Cosby, or D, O.J. Simpson? I shall repeat. Whitney Houston's particularly whiny power ballad, and yes, I am number one, dear. "The Greatest Love of All" was actually written for a 1977 biopic for this black celebrity. Was it A, the Reverend King, B, Muhammad Ali, C, Bill Cosby, or D, O.J. Simpson? I'm gonna wait for some more answers to come in. But you people seem to. Yeah, I was gonna say, nobody look at Sean's answer. Sean, yes. Gary Carter said she always wanted. Mrs. Thrash is a huge, 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 huge fan of her. I could take a reliever, but for some, like for example, one day Mrs. Thrash was playing the extended club cut of possibly my least favorite song by her. I want to fight with somebody. I want to have a plight with somebody. And it went on for like 37 minutes. And I'm like, dear God, make it stop. It's hurting my mind. Um, of course, she's married to a fellow bass hitter, or was married, I should say, Bobby Brown. Tug says, A, I am just guessing, pure shot in the dark. Poor choice of words. Drake says, I might be the only non Whitney fan. No, you're not, dear. No, you're not. WD says, anybody remember the cartoon show I Am the Greatest with Muhammad Ali? Are you kidding? Are you kidding? I love that one. Doesn't he fight an alien in one of those? They were making a movie about aliens, and I forget, but no, I loved Ali. I did. Ali was like such a hero of mine when I was a kid. Rachel's like, I can't stand. Brogan says, I want to dance with somebody. Yeah, that's the one that drives me bonkers. Tug says, never been a fan. Sean says, what was the answer for the Neil Diamond question? Oh, C. I am. I said. I'm sorry, Sean. I could have sworn I said it, but yes, C. I am. I said. Gary Carver says, dumb. Not really. No, not really, but I do remember Mr. T. I remember his cartoon as well. And and thank you, Indy, for pointing that as well. Gary Carver says, Rachel, we're both in the same boat. And Tug says, I hate that she got a Grammy for ruining a Dolly Parton song. I probably told this on no less than 8 occasions, but I have to do it again now since you brought it up. Um, uh, 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 oh, never mind. I had two Dolly Parton stories mixed up, and the one I was thinking of has no relevance to what we're talking about here. So I'm just gonna say yes. It was B, Muhammad Ali, and people are already giving me scores. So Brogu was 4 of 5. Joel Johnson is 3 of 5. Sean Innes is 2 of 5. Donald D says, "You know you're famous when they name a breakfast cereal after you." That's up there. Elizabeth says, "What's the answer?" B, Muhammad Ali. Some of you, I'm sure, guessed it because the greatest. He was the greatest. But yes, Ali. Sean is 2 of 5. Emily says, I'm back out of phone call. Oh, good. Let's see scores, miss. Gary Carver says, Rachel, I love Celine Dion. She has a great voice. And I saw her in concert one. Cool. Lisa Fields is 5 for 5. Tug is 3 of 5. Watchamin is 3 of 5. Daryl says Rod Stewart, Maggie May, crap song. Yeah. Tab is 4 of 5. Emily Miller is 2 of 3. Gary Carpenter is 5 of 5. Rachel says Mr. T cereal, LOL. And Dominic D is 3 of 5. Music is 4 of 5. Zublix is 2 out of 3. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And Rachel is 4 of 5. Trey says, I stink on this. Don't worry, you'll rally for the second part. And Emily says the cigarette filter was cheese, right? I got that one wrong. Well, yeah, because it just didn't make sense. Uh, and music says, I like Maggie May. Well, it's a free country. Jake Hudson is here and says, liked and shared. Jake, so glad you could make it, my friend. Could someone please give a link to Jake's channel? He does some great live stuff as well. And he says, Black Superman by Johnny Wakelin is awful. She should have remade that. And Doug says, nobody knew who Count Chocula was before he got his cereal. I actually mentioned him in an article I did for Gamealon magazine about serial killers. And Sean says, not that I'm a huge Rod Stewart fan of anything, but like I like Maggie May. Don't shoot, LOL. I'm not going to die on that hill. Liz. I think Whitney Houston was a great singer. She had a great voice. I just didn't like her songs. That's the weirdest thing. She had a great voice, but I found a lot of her music just sort of just rubbed me the wrong way. But she had great pipes. If that makes any sense. And do you think I'm sexy? Yeah. Oh, and Lisa Fields loves Rod Stewart. Anyway, and now for the remainder of the quiz. Number 5. Who was Charlie in Steinbeck's road travels book, Travels with Charlie? Was it A, Charles Lindbergh, B, Charles McCarthy, C, Charles Daniels, or D, his dog? I shall repeat. Who was Charlie in Steinbeck's road travels book, Travels with Charlie? Was it A, Charles Lindbergh, B, Charles McCarthy, C, Charles Daniels, or D, his dog? That was an easy one. I know. Yes, D, his dog. What I didn't know was a poodle. Does Steinbeck strike you as a poodle dog owner? No, I'm not knocking poodles, but I picture him as having more like, like your stereotypical, mixed breed bull dog, junkyard dog type situations there, but no, he had a poodle. But moving forward, number 4. According to the coroner's report, Bruce Lee's death was what? It was listed as what? A, murder. B, a family curse. C, death by misadventure. Or D, it was left blank. No cause of death was given. I shall repeat. According to the coroner's report, Bruce Lee's death was listed as a what? A, murder. B, family curse. C, death by misadventure. Or D, blank. I must confess, there were two that seemed the most likely. I did like the family curse. I just made that one. Well, I didn't make it up. He believed himself to be cursed. If you've seen Dragon, which takes bizarre liberties with his actual life story. But one thing is, there was concern of a family curse. Doug, E, excessive badassery. And he says technically it was ruled a cerebral edema by the coroner. I'm just going by what I got. Supposedly, all right, I'm gonna give the answer now. Supposedly, According to the my source, the coroner's report actually listed cause of death as death by misadventure, which I thought was a cop out. Moving forward, number 3. This this one, like, wowzers. This infamous U.S. politician broke the Senate gavel, which had been in use since 1789. Was it A, Senator Barry Goldwater, B, President Richard Nixon, C, Senator Joe McCarthy, or D, President Herbert Hoover? I shall repeat. This infamous U.S. politician broke the Senate gavel, which had been in use since 1789. A, Barry Goldwater, B, Richard Nixon, C, Joe McCarthy, or D, Herbert Hoover? Well, you could use a man like Herbert Hoover again. And it's Indy for the win. Yes, Richard Nixon, when he was VP specifically. But I was using, whenever I refer to a politician, I always refer to them by their highest political office. Like, for example, as I'm sure you all know, Jimmy Stewart was a bomber pilot during World War II. And during the war, he was lieutenant colonel. After the war, he was retired as a general. So I refer to him as General Jimmy Stewart, even though his active service career was as a colonel. Tricky Dicky, yeah, that's the one. Emily says A, but the hell if I know. Well, again, they were all good guesses. Number 2. This notorious author referred to the 1950s as the worst decade in man's history. Was it A, H.G. Wells, B, Norman Mailer, C, John Steinbeck, or D, Ernest Hemingway? I shall repeat. This notorious author referred to the 1950s as the worst decade in man's history. Was it A, H.G. Wells, B, Norman Mailer, C, John Steinbeck, or D, Ernest Hemingway? Kevin Scott 76 is here, and welcome to the party. Please, someone give this great guy a link. Gary Gabriel says, dumb. He was on Laughing. Sock it to me. He sure was. He sure was. And Emily says, again, no freaking idea. Well, it's not H.G. Wells. He died in 1946. So you have a 1 in 3 chance. And, well, anyway, I shan't keep you in suspenders. It was Norman Mailer, and it sounds like the sort of thing that Meshuggah would say. And the number 1 question of today's random acts of trivia is: this famous Warner Brothers catchphrase is written on the tombstone of epic voice actor Mel Blanc. Is it A, that's all, folks, B, what's up, Doc, C, and I a stinker, or D, I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque? I shall repeat. This famous Warner Brothers catchphrase is written on the tombstone of granddaddy of all voice actors, Mel Blanc. Yeah. Is it A, that's all, folks, B, what's up, Doc, C, ain't I a stinker, or D, I should have taken the left turn at Albuquerque? And yet, technically, they all work. Tug says, I really want it to be D, but it's probably A. You are correct. You know what? I wanted, when I thought of it, because like I said, I knew the answer and came up with alternate answers for the purposes. That's how I do it. I'll read a fun fact, and I'll take the correct factoid within the fun fact, phrase it as a question, and then come up with three incorrect factoids. So yeah, I just came up with three other catchphrases after I read the story about his tombstone having "That's all, folks." And I'm like, "That's great," but I'm like, "Left Turn in Albuquerque, that would have been great too." Harold says, "Also sorry, my wife was keeping from talking about the greatest love in my life, Kevin Costner. She gets jealous." So yes, A is the correct answer there, and now for final scores. Tracy is 1 of 10. Well, you got one. There you go. It's not necessarily the loneliest number. Gary Cameron says, "No, it's A. I've seen the tombstone online." Oh, they're very good. Harold is 2 of 10. Back to normalcy. LOL. Keith is here. Said the drought has ended. 8 out of 10. Oh, Keith, I'm very proud of you. Very proud of you. Tracy says, "I like the tombstone that say, 'I told you I was sick.'" Or H.G. Wells. Speaking of H.G. Wells, "Damn you all, you bastards! I told you so." I'm paraphrasing. That's pretty much it. Emily is 3 of 8. Music is 7 of 10. Lisa's 8 of 10. Gary Carpenter is 8 of 10. Dominic D is 6 of 10. Daryl Johnson is 7 of 10. There's some really good scores today. Tuck is 8 of 10, but I did follow Indy's lead for a couple of them. That's free country. Use visual aids to enhance performance. Rachel is 1 of 10. Ted was 9 of 10. Rachel said, "Oops, I meant 8 of 10. That's better." What you mean is 6 of 10. I think we'll give it to you. Indy Spouts is 9 of 10, and I also followed Indy's lead a couple of times. Oh, Indy, which one did you miss again? I forgot. I have a bonus. Oh my gosh, this bonus actually came from Mrs. Thrash. We were talking the other day, and she got me with a trivia question, which I didn't get. And she goes, "You have to put this question on your show, and you have to tell people I came up with it and that you didn't get it." Well, I have. Now, here is the question for those Magna PI fans out there. Remember, Higgins had two twin Doberman pinchers. The Doberman pinchers' names were A. Cain and Abel, B. Romulus and Remus, C. Castor and Pollock, or D. Zeus and Apollo. Oh, and he says the cheese filter. That's right. Sean says maybe 5 of 10. Not a good trivia day for me. There's nothing wrong with 5 or 10 on my trivia. Kevin Scott says I tried to get them all wrong and I succeeded. Oh, very proud of you. Gary says next month, September 21st, is another Comic Con in Hickory, North Carolina. Oh, excellent. And answers are all over the place. But guess who got it right out of the gate? Oh, apparently, virtually all of you know this one. And Harold, don't feel bad. Castor and Pollock is the most obvious choice too, but no, it was actually, in fact, it was Zeus and Apollo, and which is funny because they were actually siblings. I made up the part about them twins. They were just Dobermans, and all Dobermans look alike to me. But I know that's anti Doberman racism. I apologize, but the point of the matter is they were siblings. Zeus and Apollo were father and son. He should have gone with something like Castor and Pollock or Romulus and Remus or Cain and Abel. And Gary Carver says both were Dobermans. Yeah, they're beautiful, beautiful dogs. I love Dobermans. And suppose they're like the smartest dog on the planet. And they have really good temperaments. They're only vicious when they're trained to be guard dogs. And they make great guard dogs because they're so intelligent. Supposedly, Dobermans can recognize the most verbal commands of any dog on Earth. And he says it was a great show. For those that might not know, it was the same universe as Murder, She Wrote. There's a bell ringing in my head. I can't remember if I knew that or if Mrs. Thrash told me or and Indy's Bound says Catherine Pollock were from Face Off. You're not fooling me. Oh yeah, Casper and Pollock were from Face Off, but weren't they? Didn't the two names come from two Greek god twins? I'm trying to remember the story. I'm trying to remember the story. But I always thought that rather than have the Mars moons meet Deimos and Phobos, that should have been Castor and Pollock. But yes. But anyway, yes, they were in fact brothers. And Emily says, "Oh, our female Doberman was a sweetheart." Yeah, they're sweeties. And Gary Cameron says, "Doberman was my favorite dog, next to German Shepherd and Collies." Never had a collie. I did have a couple of shepherds when I was a kid. I love German shepherds. Well, you remember that show that came on? It was on right around the time of Land of the Lost. Find the bomb, bomb, bomb. Joe, Joe, Joe. Save the baby, baby, baby. Joe, Joe, Joe. Yeah, it was a show. It was basically The Fugitive, but a dog. This dog was wanted for a crime it didn't commit. I'm not making this up. This dog was wanted for a crime it didn't commit, and went from town to town having adventures. Um, it had been a trained military. It was sort of like Rin Tin Tin. It was a trained military dog, and every town it went to, it ended up saving somebody because, like, a child would fall into the water, and he'd have a flashback to his training days and save the baby, 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 Joe, Joe, Joe. I just like doing that sound effect. Does anyone else remember this, or am I having another fever dream moment? Oh, Tracy said I grew up with German shepherds. Oh, that's sweet. Rachel Love Murder She Wrote. Gary says Mandamin Murder She Wrote crossed over. Ah, yes, yes, very good. And music says yes, a great show. And Emily says when are we having a Carol Burnett? I'm going to write that down. Carol, I am but a fool. I'm going to spell Burnett wrong, but I'll know what I meant. God, I'm dying tonight. Soon, mon chéri, soon. And I have a collie dog now called Billy. Billy, don't be a hero. Don't be a fool with your crossovers. Dominic D says, "Run, Joe, run," as opposed to "Run, Johnny, run," which I have to do a creepy classic about. I have to do a creepy classic on the song "Run, Johnny, Run." But yeah, "Run, Joe, Run." Thank you, very good. Thank you for playing, Dominic. Rachel loves German shepherds and bulldogs, of course, and he says, of course, they're a Greek myth, and their sisters were Helen and Clytemnestra. I hope I said that properly. Excellent. And Gary says, Rin Tin Tin and Max are famous shepherds. They certainly were. They certainly were. And Christopher says, "Run, Joe, run." Thank you again, Christopher. Excellent. Thank you for playing. And Tug says, "Is she the one that causes all the itching indie?" And Tim says, "Do you know that SNL made its debut on the same day Bill and Hillary Clinton tied the knot, October 11th, 1975?" I did not know that. I did not know that. Emily says, "Tug, did you just?" Yes, he did. He did. He did. And Sean says, I remembered. I just remembered that his week as Robbie Wrist appeared on that show. I liked it and love yeses." And Rachel says, "I have to go, everyone. Good night." Rachel, thanks for coming and have a great evening. Thank you for joining us. Keith says Billy has his own YouTube channel. Billy the dog? And that's cool. And Tug says good night to Rachel. And Indy says yes, and a ship should always be referred to as a Milhelen. Mahelen Drive. And Tracy says, "I will see you all later. Have a nice week." And Tracy's so glad you could stop by. Hope you feel better. Get better. And other brother says, "Don't forget Roy Rogers and Bullet." Yes. Yes. And Gary Cameron says Carol Burnett show started on 9/11, the year I was born. No kidding. No kidding. I did not know that. And let me say goodnight to Tracy. And Tug says, I'm not sorry either. Oh, snap. And Lisa says goodnight to Tracy as well. Emily says, Tug, if you were, I would be disappointed. And Isabel says to Sean, how do we not name drop cousin Oliver every chat? That's an excellent question. You know, it's funny. Dave Sundstrom just did a whole thing about Robbie Wrist, who was actually a pretty solid actor, which is why we can sort of forgive the whole cousin Oliver thing. It wasn't a great idea. They were getting desperate, but at least he could act. The one that always got me the most was that hideous Seven from Married with Children. And I'm not knocking the kid. He was like 5 or 6 or younger even when he started, but he couldn't act like at all. Like he couldn't even deliver. He could barely speak lines out loud. And I think that's the worst case of cousin Oliver syndrome I can think of. And music says, yes, I have a dog channel called Billy Sky Blue, which features 3 collies dogs mostly, but other dogs do appear. That's so cool. I did not know that. I did not know that. Oh, and by the way, while on the subject, when I was in the UK, we were walking through this park, and there was this gentleman, older gentleman, very serenely, tranquilly walking through the park with his dog, Alsatian, I believe, and he was like throwing the stick, and he would come back with the stick. And Mrs. Thrash says, "Go make that dog bark," and I'm like, "No, I'm not just going to go up to some random stranger and try to get his dog to bark." He goes, no, no, make the dog bark. I want to hear the dog bark. I'm like, no, I'm not going to go to some random stranger. She goes, no, I want to hear that dog bark. And I go, why would you want me to make the dog? Oh no, you want me to see if the dog barks with an English accent? And she started giggling, and I'm like, dog is universal. You know what an English dog sounds like? Bark. Just like an American dog, but what do I know? Bonk, old boy. I say bonk, old boy. Best of luck to you, no ways. Sean says to Indy, I mentioned it in relation to Dave Sundstrom's video this week. Yes. Yes, Sean. I saw that too. Excellent. And Sean says he was also in an episode of Lucan. So, dogs. I don't recall that, but I'll take your word for it. I'm sure you are correct. Off the top of my head, I don't recall. Keith E says, hi, Lisa. It was great to hear about your doppelganger. Diddy says, my brain hurts now. Take some Anderson. Dominic D says Robbie Wrist was very funny on an episode of What's Happening playing a child actor. I can see that. I can see that. He did a couple of those after school specials, if I remember correctly, too, that were pretty good too. And he says to Sean, I don't watch Dave's channel very often. His voice makes me sleepy. And Tug says, I prefer the Puppy Bowl and the Kitten Halftime Show to the Super Bowl itself. It's way better. We used to, when I worked at the bar, we used to bet on that. We would take bets on the Puppy Bowl. And Gary says, a doppelganger is bad luck. Everything's bad luck these days. And Music says, LOL, Mrs. Thrash. Thank you. And then he says, Bassengees? Bassengees sound like Marcel Marceau. So they're silent. And Keith E says, Ben Drew Carey has bad luck because I'm his doppelganger. I'm guessing that was then Drew Carey has bad luck. And Sean says to Wendy Spouts, can I suggest some amphetamines, cocaine? Great analgesiac, I'll give you that much. And Gary Kemper says, bow wow, woof, woof. Oh, I thought you were doing the band Bow Wow Wow. No, I get it. It was the dog. Yeah, I get it. I am teasing you. I am teasing you. And Daryl says, "Hey, Keith." And Emily says, "I had a neighbor whose dog literally said bark. Dogs are weird." I'll buy that. And Doug says, "Keith, I used to look at I used to look a lot like Drew Carey when I was younger. I can see that. I can picture that." And Danny says, "I haven't seen an Anderson on a store shelf since the '80s." Yeah, I know. It was the type of thing where like my grandparents always had it in their like medicine cabinet, but I haven't seen it in forever. And Gary Gardner says, I had an Egyptian dog that never barked." Really? Did he walk like an Egyptian? And Tug says, "Everything is bad luck." Well, yeah, Bob, look around. How else to explain all this? There was a sign I saw years ago. It was on a restaurant, and it was just, "Sorry, folks, closed due to," and it actually said, "Picture me waving my hands in a circular motion. Sorry, folks, closed due to everything." And then he says to Sean, "You can take the boy out of Hollywood, but too true, too true." And Emily says, "I don't really care for dogs." Pfft. Well, pfft, to you too. Sean says, "Bassin G's," as opposed to the Brunnen G. Yo, yo, home vahare, yo, era, jalrum, Brunnen G. Sorry. Keith says, "Hello, Daryl. Good to see you." And Gary Cameron says, "I prefer cats. Meow, meow." Oh, a cat call. And Emily says, "Gary, what did it look like?" And WD says, "Anderson and Bufferin are pain relievers from the past. Fortunately, we don't have any pain anymore, so we don't need them." And Lisa says, "Emily, me either. Twin." And Sean says, "Two bags, please, for a generous fee. Make your world what you want it to be." And at least as a cat. And Emily says, "I told y'all, me and Lisa were twins, and I believed you. I believed you, my dear." And he says, "Busted a minor, and I'll come in again. Busted a mirror and got 7 years bad luck, but my lawyers thinks he can get it down to 5." Yeah, but then he'll charge you 3 years. Emily says, "I have 6 kitties." Wow, I was going to saying eyes. I met a man with 7. Why there's kittens in there somewhere. Um, and Lucy feels, "Do they believe us now?" I believe. I believe. Do you believe? And Tug says, "I used to own cats, but my son and wife are both allergic now." Christopher says, "I like stuffed dogs. They don't eat much, and they are easy to take care of." I'll give you that much there. And Gary Carpenter says, "I've got a Tux stray feral cat that I feed." Oh, speaking of feral cat things, well, it's not really a cat, but I'm working with what I got. I was outside on my deck having a coffin nail last night because I don't smoke inside my house. Had to have been around 2 in the morning. Coyotes were having a field day on the other side of Pons's Pond. It was like something out of an old like 30s horror film. Oh, 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 oh. So I'm kind of like watching my surroundings. I mean, they're on the other side of the pond, but these things, they move. And I thought I heard something coming up the stairs, and it was a raccoon, dude. And Emily says, "We can still buy Anderson and Bufferin here." I'm sure you can still find it in some places like Dollar General or something. Keithy says, "My invisible hippo Hooper is the perfect pet. I imagine he would be." Gary Capper says, "Excedrin." That's why I take Sanhedrin. And he says, "I wonder if that guy ever made it to St. Ives." Um, well, the others weren't. They were going the other way. I'm sure he did. And Emily says, "I'm a cat owner, but I'm not childless." Oh, that's right. Oh, and by the way, I pointed something out on Tug's show, by the way, which a lot of people have also mentioned. A lot of people are making references to Ripley from Alien being a childless cat lady. Nah. In addition to Newt, which I count, in addition to Newt, she actually had a daughter. There's a deleted scene talking about her in Aliens. She passed on sadly, but yeah. And Daryl says, "Children of the night." Exactly. How does that line go? The children of the night hear how they do whatever they do at night. But yeah, Bella was the best. This is actually another true story. Speaking of the coyotes, they usually it's like a game preserve on the other side of the pond. There's like deer and stuff in there, so that's where they hunt their big stuff. But this is a couple years ago. I was in my garage watching it's the bridge. I have like home theater stuff in there, and I was watching a movie. It was an old horror movie, and I remember thinking, "Damn, they're really getting their money's worth out of the uh, howling dog effects in the background because it was like literally oh, oh, oh. I had to stop the movie for a second, and the howling continued. Apparently, they were hunting something literally around my house. I'm so glad I didn't have the door open for ventilation that night. Gary Cameron says DJ Dracula. Keithy says there was a vet taxidermist. He said, either way, you'll get your dog back. And he's about says Children of the Night. Shut up. And Tug says, and she didn't own Jonesy. Jonesy owned the entire ship. Ah, very good, very good. And Lisa's like smiling at Keith. And Sean says they cut out Ripley's daughter. Little exposition for her attachment to Newt. I know. I always thought that I understand they were trying to trim the movie a little bit, but that's why she becomes so maternal with Newt because her own daughter had died of spoiler alert, her own daughter had died of cancer while Ripley was in freeze. And he's about to says Newt's character's real name, please. Why don't you tell me? And Gary Cameron says DJ Dracula and Love at First Bite. I love Love at First Bite. And Carol's got 76 says gotta go installing a fan and we'll lose power. Very sorry, dude. Good luck. And Tug says, "What a beautiful music! What beautiful music they make! Thank you, thank you. It was killing me. I knew it was something about singing or something, but and Teb says, guess the hit 1989 rom com by this famous scene. High school grad used his boombox to profess his love for a classmate. I was just talking about that film last week. The song is in your eyes. John Cusack to Iona Sky. I was just talking about it last week. Oh, but yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Say anything. Thank you, Wedge. I mean, I'm sure I would have gotten it eventually, but thank you, Wedge. And he said, Sean says to Indy, Rebecca, but nobody calls me that except for my brother. Tug says, Rebecca, no one calls me Rebecca except my brother. And Indy Spout says, and what's her last name? So it's Rebecca. I'm gonna say Kitu. And Keith he says, thanks, Liz. I appreciate that. And Tug says, I am always available for Universal Classic Monster Trivia. I imagine you would be. I want to do one on White Zombie. I think for some reason people know White Zombie, but you never hear about how truly great that pre-Hays Code gem is. If you watch it, looking for the innuendo, there's a lot going on in White Zombie that they couldn't get away with even 5 years later. Should I do White Zombie trivia? No, I'm getting a little full there. But at some point, we have to talk about White Zombie. The film, not the notorious metal band. Although I can talk about them too if you'd like. And Sean says, I knew you were going to ask that. Grrr. I don't remember that as it wasn't spoken in an interesting line reading. Sean says, Carpenter. Really? That's awesome. Her last name was Carpenter. I'm sure it was a nod to Gary Carpenter. Uh, Gary Carpenter? Why did I say that? Gary, no, Gary. You're a great dude, but I'm sure that wasn't a reference to Gary Carpenter. John Carpenter, the filmmaker, or Mr. Carpenter from when the day the earth stood still. And Tugs is to say anything. Yes, thank you. And Gary Carpenter says Abbott Costello meet Frankenstein. Hilarious. It was. Oh, Madison Music Teacher is here and says, this is still Kevin Scott 76. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I think I knew that. I think I knew that was you, but I'm glad you mentioned it. And Tug says, Jordan, Rebecca Jordan. Thank you. And he says, it's engraved on a plaque in the background, but never said out loud. Her last name is Jordan. Very good. Thank you. I honestly didn't know that. Denny says, good night, all. In fact, yeah, we should all start thinking about wrapping things up. I'm going to scroll through some more comments, but be thinking about final thoughts for tonight, by the way, guys. And Gary Carpenter says, I'll watch White Zombie, but not those awful dead movies. No, White Zombie is not a zombie movie. Well, it's a zombie. It's a different type of zombie movie. And Tim says, guess the smash hit from 1989 sci-fi comedy. Two teenage California stoners, aspiring musicians, used a time machine in the form of a telephone booth to travel through history. Well, you said 1989, so I'm going to go with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, not the sequel. It hits. You've sank my better ship. Sean says, it was a guess, Carpenter. I was wrong. That's a great guess. That was a great guess. And WD says, oh, if I were a carpenter and you were a lady, that's another good one. And Gary Carpenter says, Sean, huh? And yeah, what do you mean guesses Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? And Sean's like, I was guessing Newt's last name. And Tug says, White Zombie is the only metal band to make a #1 hit about a sci-fi movie. Wow, apparently Tug's come to play as well. And Gary Cameron says to Dom, Johnny and June. Ted says, well, gotta go. See you next Sunday. You certainly will. You certainly will. And a lot of people saying goodnight to Tab. Indy's Belt says, thanks for the trivia, Bob. I promise to learn everything there is to learn about cigarette filters made from cheese before next time. That shouldn't take long. Kenneth Wilkinson says you should do trivia on Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I'm going to write it down, but it could be a while. Because that's, there's like 3 or 4 before that one. But Close Encounters. They were just talking about that movie. The French author is actually the template for the French character in the movie. Oh, I just gave away some of the trivia. Sorry. Sean says Newt's parents were also the ones who found the engineer's ship and were first infected. Another cut scene with a vehicle that reminded me of the Sharon Lost in Space. I think I've seen that on YouTube. Thank you. I think I've seen that, Sean. Thank you. And Rebecca Newt Jordan. Turn me into a newt. Thank you, Daryl. Rebecca Newt Jordan. Very good, very good. And Keith, I'm sorry, Tug says cigarettes now with the extra cholesterol. I know. And Keith says a shout out to the people who watch you on replay. All of you. Shout out, definitely. And Sean says to Tug, Rob and Charlotte live in Connecticut. A friend of mine runs into them all the time at the grocery store. Oh, excellent. And Kevin says trivia on America's Greatest Hero. Oh, okay. All right, we can do that. And anyway, but guys, I think I'm gonna call it. It's getting towards that hour and a half mark. Like I said, I wasn't really feeling particularly good today, but I have to do these. I love these. They're so much fun. I love the interaction with you guys. Let me write that down. Greatest American Hero. Excellent. Now I won't forget that either. But anyway, I want to thank all you guys for coming by, spending some time with me every Sunday. This one has been a blast. This one has been a lot of fun. To you new folks, please keep coming back. To you old folks, please continue to keep coming back. And just I will have new content this week. I'm not sure what. It's probably going to be a creepy classic. I really feel like doing a creepy classic this week. I don't know what it is. But the problem is, Mrs. Thrash has the week off. She's on vacation this week. So I'm sure there's going to be stuff around the house that we've been putting off since the spring that we'll probably try to tackle now. But anyway, and we will, again, definitely have another show next Sunday. And and thank you again, Tug. Yes, I had an absolute blast doing. For those of you who haven't seen Tug's show that we did earlier today, please, please, please check it out. It was an absolute blast. It was one of our best, in my humble opinion. But anyway, everyone, please, until next time I see you, be good, be safe, be careful, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. Peace.